Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about cybersecurity risk and infrastructure readiness. South Africa's critical infrastructure, energy, transport, water, health, systems, telecommunications, it's no longer physical. It's now digital. It is interconnected and increasingly exposed to sophisticated cyber threats. What was once an IT issue is now a national one. Recent incidents affecting key service sectors have demonstrated how cyber disruptions can ripple through the economy, Transnet being one of them. As our infrastructure modernizes, the attack surface expands. This conversation aligns with South Africa's national cybersecurity priorities, including implementation of the Cybersecurity Act and the coordination effort through cybersecurity structures such as the Cybersecurity Hub, where I work. So today is not about identifying the risk, it is also about identifying the readiness should the risk arise. To help me unpack this topic, I've got great minds here. I'll start with you, Jongikhaya. With South Africa's energy sector facing increasingly cyber threats, how is PetroSA balancing the modernization of legacy systems with robust cybersecurity practices across its operational technological environments?
Thank you. Morning, everyone. I think before I go straight to that question, I would like to give a brief background as to where we are in terms of PetroSA. We are a refinery that basically we shut down around 2020. Some of the decisions that were taken, which maybe perhaps I would say they have some ripple effect in terms of how now we need to resuscitate that plant. I'll make a simple example. In 2020, when we shut down, some decision makers took a decision to say even the ICT systems within the legacy framework, we need to terminate those contracts because we are not in operation. Forgetting that the very same environment needs to be maintained, monitored, your pipeline, your oil rigs, your reservoirs, your storage facilities, your plant, your refinery, all those, they have MES systems, or I'll put it, SCADA systems, PLC systems, which are all integrated within the ICT environment. They are all running in IP. So now in the process of resuscitating the plant, I think basically I've had an encounter based on my experience. When I was working in one of these metros, you'll find that the ICT will purely look at the infrastructure in terms of servers, network, and other IT-related equipment. When you have your electricity will have their own network environment. When you have your water department will have their own network department. It's not aggregated into one. As a result, it creates a challenge as a CIO or a head of IT. That is in terms of managing and aggregating the entire monitoring of this equipment. Because what you find is that AG, when they come in to do an audit, they don't just say this one resides within water or this one resides within plant. They monitor or audit ICT holistically. And as a result, what we needed to do is to find a solution which basically monitors not purely ICT, it aggregates across your SCADA systems, your PLC. We want to have a view as to what is happening in as far as offshore, what is happening in our FA platform, what is happening in our reservoirs and all of that. So we have a solution currently now that we've deployed, which basically aggregates and ensure that we don't have compliance issues in terms of cyber vulnerabilities and all of that. So that is basically the route that we've taken, and I think it's working quite well. It's a POC that we've done through your Amazon, which basically they came into the party and then they are doing such work for us. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, thank you. So you've started the process of resuscitating the refinery that you had shut down. Okay, so your issues were mostly interoperability because you had systems that were running solo. Okay, thank you so much. Helen, my colleague, we are both in government. With critical infrastructure increasingly relying on digital systems, we are in the digital transformation roadmap rollout currently. What strategies have you found mostly effective for building a culture of cybersecurity awareness across government and enterprise users?
Thank you for the question. In South Africa, cyber resilience is not merely an IT ambition. It is a service delivery obligation. When municipalities, utilities, and national departments get disrupted, citizens feel it. So cyber awareness needs to move beyond being a compliance exercise and become operational discipline. The three strategies are, firstly, executive accountability drives culture. Cyber risk should be at the top with the accounting officer. It must be at that level. And then that also needs to be aligned with your Public Finance Management Act and your Municipal Finance Management Act. When leadership prioritizes cyber risk and is also included in performance agreements, that's when the behavior within any organization can change. Then also we need to align awareness with legal responsibility. So officials need to know what the obligations are in terms of the Protection of Personal Information Act and the Cyber Crimes Act. Cyber awareness becomes a lot more effective once people know what their personal accountability is. And then thirdly, it needs to be embedded into processes. So cyber security also needs to be part of processes, change management, and then it must be in risk committees, not outside of them. Technology protects systems, but culture protects the state. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Technology protects systems, culture protects the state. I think, Helen, what you mentioned there, that we need to move beyond compliance, is very critical because we tend to just tick a box. We have an awareness program. All employees must come join in, but what happens thereafter, there's no consequence management. So we need to embed it into the processes within the departments and also the other government departments and the private sector companies. Now let's go to you, Lerato. In your experience at UJ, what are the most effective strategies for embedding a cybersecurity culture around a large and diverse organization like your one?
Thank you for that question, Siphokazi. So in my experience, we have realized that cybersecurity shouldn't just be an IT issue. It must actually be a responsibility for everyone within an organization. So one of the strategies that we have started with was
Please
to...
keep your mics closed, sorry.
One of the strategies that we have started up with was to spread awareness across the leadership of the university so that there can be alignment in terms of accountability. We're moving away to only focusing on technology, but also including people, meaning human resources. We're also including our processes, making sure that cybersecurity is embedded into our processes. And then also we explicitly make people aware of their accountability, either as a leader of a certain department or as a system administrator for certain systems within the organization. So The other strategy that we focused on was in terms of cybersecurity awareness and training. We realized that the traditional periodic awareness training is not effective because people just do it just to check a box that I have done my awareness training and then therefore I'm compliant for the remainder of the year. So we have started introducing role-based security training. Basically, what we are saying is that if you are in finance, you will be enrolled in training that is related to your finance role, as opposed to having a generic awareness training that will talk about something that possibly you might even not encounter during your day-to-day work. As you continue doing your work throughout the day. And then we do have also those ad hoc training specifically for the technical people. We take them through the awareness training, which we increase difficulty so that we make sure that there's comprehension in terms of the types of threats that or risks that they may encounter during their day-to-day of administering our systems. The other thing that we have done is to embed security into our business processes, where we looked at introducing security when we look at our supply chain or the procurement processes. We introduced automated vendor. We were about to introduce automated vendor risk management, so that when vendors are onboarded, we already know their risk posture. This can be from the systems that they have publicly accessible, or any other risk that might be associated because they have an association with other resellers or other vendors that they might be partnering with. And then we looked at our project management. We started enforcing the identification of project risks so that there can be mitigation plans against those risks. And also from a system development point of view, we incorporated the security checklists when we do our specifications in terms of implementing solutions within our environment, whereby certain things can be considered. Like when you're implementing a solution, it have capabilities of implementing role-based access, for example, or MFA, so that the administration of or access to that particular solution can be verified before one is granted access to them. So those are some of the things that we have considered in terms of the strategies of embedding security or cybersecurity into our initiatives.
Thank you so much, Lerato. And again, cybersecurity is not an IT issue, but an organizational issue. You mentioned continuous assessment, awareness and training. You mentioned behavioral change as well. And you mentioned that shared responsibility is really, really critical. We all know in the space, colleagues, collaboration is key. You can't do it alone. In 2024, I had an opportunity of being a focal point for ITU on the GCI, the Global Cybersecurity Index. And when that report came out, also even to gather information from all the stakeholders, it was a painful exercise because we're doing a lot, but we're doing it in silos. So I'm gonna come to you, Jongikhaya, as well. How does PetroSA collaborate with government bodies, other SOEs, and industry partners to share threat intelligence, which we know it's very difficult to get people to share that, and build a unified approach to national cyber resilience?
All right, thank you, Siphokazi. I think I will speak on collaboration within the DMRE, which is basically PetroSA is one of the subsidiaries of Central Energy Fund. We have SFF, Strategic Fuel Fund, iGas, PASA, as well as AE, which is a coal mining entity. So what we took, or a decision that we took was not just only to collaborate, but from the cost optimization point of view, that is, we took a stance not to duplicate technologies. If SAF has went in to deploy a SIM solution, that SIM solution should be basically cuts across all the 5 subsidiary entities. Us as PetroSA, we procure, because we have got an enterprise agreement with Microsoft, some entities with less 200, they cannot afford to get those discounted rates in terms of procurement and licensing of Microsoft. So we consolidated our Microsoft into one, that is PetroSA would buy on behalf of other subsidiaries. In terms of strategy, the policies, we took the same posture. That is basically we have one policy which cuts across the entire environment. That is in terms of when we are tabling into our board, we take the very same submission policies that basically we've got, I'll put it this way, we have a monthly joint CIO forum, which basically we consolidate, we collaborate, we ensure that you are going on procurement, I do have this solution. You don't have to procure the very same solution. So in that way, we managed to, through that collaboration from a cost optimization point of view, to minimize cost, the total cost of ownership within the ICT, because certain of these solutions will run in different entities. So that's what we've done within the DMRE space, and of which I think, as I said, I will speak purely within the DMRE. Yes, we do collaborate with other SOEs, but not at that length. But we are working with your likes of your ESCOM. We are working with your like of your Transnet and all of that. But we started that stance within the group to ensure that with collaboration, cost optimization, don't duplicate technologies. Let's do this in one so that we can defend when we are positioning ICT. You don't find the CIOs within the same group speaking different language. We speak the same language, and we understand this is basically the strategy that the entire team who are running these sub-entities are speaking the same direction in terms of cloud migration, digital transformation, you name them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In government, we don't do much without MOUs or MOAs. So do you also have such within the 5 sectors that you are working with?
Yes, we have an intercompany agreement which talks to contracts that exist amongst the entities within the ICT. It goes into policies, it goes to so many other things, but basically they are all consolidated so that we are able to build back if we are procuring services within. So we've got that intercompany agreement that is basically we can bill back from our sister companies if you are procuring under your own contract.
I think we need an energy sector CSET. You guys are doing well. We can also learn a thing or two as government from that collaboration. Helen, I'm going to come back to you as a manager that manages ITC systems in government. What are the key lessons from managing and responding to information security incidents that other sectors like energy and utilities can apply that you've come across?
Thank you. No organization can avoid incidents forever. The difference is, does the incident define you or does it strengthen you? Firstly, fundamentals matter more than sophistication. In many cases, incidents result from control failures. If we look at things like access management, once a user resigns, how quickly after their last day of service is their access terminated? Things like change control. If an emergency change request is submitted, are the proper procedures followed for that emergency change? Then also, communication is strategic. In South Africa, cyber incidents can escalate very quickly into public and parliamentary scrutiny. Therefore, predefined coordination with entities such as South African Police Service and State Security Agency is essential. Then lastly, we need to identify the crown jewels. Utilities and energy needs to identify which systems are high priority, which are going to have the highest impact when they are not available. Disruptions to entities like Eskom, for instance, illustrates how cyber risk can become national risk. Preparedness determines whether an incident is merely a disruption or whether that incident becomes a national crisis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helen. I think many incidents do stem from basic control failures. We had a session earlier on where they indicated that human error, people get access because we simply give them credentials. And I think also we have entities that can play a role. We have CSATs, we've got SSA that can also play a role in this to improve our level of cyber resilience. Also cyber drills, simple thing as a communication plan. What do I do when I get a cyber incident? Who do I call? Who do I bring on board? The cyber drills will be able to give us all those things. Lerato, I'm gonna come back to you. Yesterday we had a digital transformation summit that showed us that we are solely moving, digitalizing everything. With this acceleration of digital transformation in universities, how do you ensure that new systems are secure by design? We normally say in cybersecurity, security by design, while supporting innovation and operational efficiency. As a student myself, you deal a lot with our personal data, so it will be interesting to know how do you process that.
Yeah, see, from a university point of view, what we have started doing is that we stopped looking at security as an afterthought. So basically, before we implement any of the solutions, we have to then first document our processes, our architecture, our standards. So we need documented security architecture and governance framework, and also have forums that will scrutinize the proposed solutions prior to them being implemented or rolled out into production. So having things like what we have currently, we have what we call an architecture forum, whereby every initiative will have to go through that process so that they can, so that we can see what value will this particular solution bring. And also if there is no duplication of effort, meaning that there is no other solution internally that does the same thing. And also we look at, we also have what we call a new initiative forum, whereby we determine whether this will be a strategic initiative or just an operational initiative whereby it enhances operations. One of the things that we need to do is that we need to look at also the zero trust principles. For example, when implementing a firewall, we're moving away from your three-tier approach whereby we have a trusted zone, which is usually a LAN, and then we have a DMZ, which is semi-trusted, and then we have a WAN, which is untrusted. So we're moving away, we're starting now to introduce zero trust principles, whereby principles such as assume breach and also least privilege is implemented or enforced. So from that, certain solutions such as identity and access management, vulnerability management, those things need to be linked together so that when an incident occurs, you can then be able to say that a breach could have came from this particular identity associated with this device, And then this was the risk posture on the device. So when you have all your systems integrated together with zero trust principles implemented as well, you stand a chance of reducing the attack surface when it comes to your approach in ensuring that they're secure by design. And also when you're developing applications, what we have started doing is that we're looking at having an application testing security tool whereby the development of that particular custom application will be tested during the development phase and also when it's launched. So the testing goes from throughout the cycle of the development of that particular application.
Okay, so you've integrated security at the earliest stages of your digital transformation initiatives. That is a very good one. So I just want to check. So you verify every user because you've adopted the zero trust architecture.
With the approach that we're going with, we will verify every user, every device that goes onto our network. There has to be checks that are validated. For example, for an endpoint, let's say maybe you have a laptop. So from a laptop, what we may look at is the version of the operating system, whether there's antivirus installed there, whether security patches are applied, and so forth. And then from an identity point of view, we'll look at whether you have logged in using our identity source, and also MFA is enabled on your account. And also if you have certain applications that you need to access to, meaning that there has to be role-based access for your access to our environment. We are not going to give you a holistic access whereby you have access to everything simply because you're connecting from internally within our environment.
Oh, thank you. I think we classify data with the minimum information security standard document, commonly known as MIS, tells us how to classify information and certainly systems. But I think your approach is going to be a very good working system. While I have you there, we talked about managing the amount of sensitive data at the universities. How do you balance accessibility for teaching, research, and administration with robust cybersecurity controls? There was someone who asked the question, how safe are the public Wi-Fi's in universities? Maybe you can touch on that at the end of your answer. Thank you.
Okay, with handling data or protecting data or securing data, it all comes down to data management and data governance. Basically, what you will need to have your data classified. You will need to have your data labeled as well. Because if you go into protect or try to attempt to secure your data without classifying it, you'll at times overload your controls on data that doesn't really need that much of control. For example, if you have your data classified and labeled, you'll know that for sensitive data, these are the types of controls that I will need to have. You can have data masking, password protection, encryption, and all those. But for data that is intended for public consumption, you don't really have to put in such controls on it because it will be a mission to decrypt for every request that comes in from the public. And also, in terms of, what was your second question? Your last question again?
There's the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi. With the Wi-Fi, they might be public, but there is certain security controls that we put in place. For example, our staff and student Wi-Fi, we use what we call 802.1x. Authentication method, meaning that you will need to have your username and password to access our Wi-Fi as a student or as a staff member. And that those credentials are associated with our identity source. And then in terms of our guest Wi-Fi, everyone that comes in as a guest needs to apply for guest access through the IT processes, whereby certain credentials will be given to you, and those credentials are limited as well. They are time-bound. Once it reaches the time that you shouldn't be within the university, that account will be disabled and deleted afterwards. And then we have what we call also EduRoam for university. People from universities will understand what I'm talking about. It basically is a central authentication repository whereby you can access the Wi-Fi through your university credentials at any of the public universities that are participating within that EduRoam service.
Okay.
So everything in our, there is no open SSID or Wi-Fi signal. You have to authenticate in all our Wi-Fi environments.
I think that's a fair level of security. Helen, let's talk about change management and audits. What role do audits and change management and also security governance play in strengthening resilience and ensuring that the critical systems remain protected against sophisticated digital threats? You can touch on governance as well.
Thank you. Resilience is not built during an attack. It is built in audit committee rooms, in committee rooms before the attack actually occurs. Audits drive accountability. Audit findings influence budgets, executive performance, and public reporting. Audit readiness equals operational readiness. Then in terms of change management prevents incidents. We know that uncontrolled changes and access management remains two major vulnerabilities. Therefore, security impact assessments need to be mandatory. And then governments align cyber with enterprise risk. Cyber risk must be treated with the same seriousness as financial mismanagement. Clear ownership and reporting lines are necessary in order to make cyber risk a governance discipline. And when we have strong governance in place, then cyber risk is no longer a surprise, it's a managed variable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helen. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but SSA is drafting a national cybersecurity strategy, currently being workshopped with certain sectors. We've already met with internet service providers, and it's going to go to banking as well and bring workshop to everyone. And it's going to outline the responsibilities from the NCPF, the responsibilities on who's responsible for what, both private and public sector. So I think we do lack governance, cybersecurity governance in South Africa. My feel is the NCPF needs a review. It's quite a long, old document. We can do with a review. We're hoping to have the AI policy by end of this year. And I think from that strategy, we can eventually get the bill passed on the cybersecurity bill. Thank you so much, colleagues, for that. That's all from my questions. Now I'm bringing you, colleagues, from the audience into the conversation. We have quite a significant amount of time left, so I can take a couple of questions from for the panel. Do we have any questions or any comments in the room? Were they that clear? Oh, there's a question. If you can just introduce yourself and tell us whose panelist are you posing your question to?
Sure. Where are we? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emma Renshaw. I'm from Standard Bank. I really don't mind who of the panelists answer this question, but maybe you can just position a little bit, what do you see as the difference between cyber risk and then infrastructure risk or IT risk?
Do we have any other question? So we can just take questions and then we let them answer. Okay, I think all of them can take it. They will have something to say.
So you're asking what is the difference between a cyber risk and an IT risk? So in my view, a cyber risk would have to do with your security risk, meaning that are there any gaps in terms of your security controls? Are there any weaknesses that may pose or that may lead to a possible attack? And an IT risk would be, so a cyber risk can either be an IT risk and also just be a cyber, it cannot be just a cyber risk. It will still introduce, it can be seen also as an IT risk, whereas an IT risk can just be an IT risk without being a cyber risk. That's how I see it.
Thank you.
Helen, your take?
Thank
Can
you.
I have a bite?
Yes, I also agree with that, where I think cyber risk is more related to the information security sphere, and with regard to the protection of information, whereas infrastructure could be more only IT related, network related, and that kind of thing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jongikhaya?
Yeah, if I were to add, from a strategic point of view, you'll find you will have a corporate plan with the strategic objectives, which basically, when you devise your strategies, you need to feed into the overall strategic objective of the organization. And once you start highlighting and then you highlight your KPIs, you need also to identify what are your KRIs in terms of your key risk area. I mean, what you call key risk indicators within your department. So you will find that from the cyber point of view, you will have vulnerabilities, which basically you are exposed on the basis of your hardware in terms of port being open, which sometimes that is a service that will outsource to your likes of your SSA, who comes in and then do a full assessment within your hardware, your network, your infrastructure, and then they give you those findings. And then you look at those from the operational point of view. That is basically, you say, I need to devise a strategy to eliminate these operational risks, which are basically identified from the hardware point of view, from the infrastructure point of view. This, as a result, basically it mitigates your cyber vulnerability from the outsiders to attack your environment. So I think if I were to look at it in that way, from the strategic point of view, you devise your strategy. From an ICT point of view, you have to also identify what is your IT associated risk in as far as your KRI is concerned. I think that would be basically my answer on that one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, before
Hi.
we... Oh, there's a question. Oh, sorry.
Mary Maubani from Credit Guarantee. Lerato, a question, when moving away from your traditional network perimeter security environment, how did you deal with the challenges that you faced from moving from that to a ZTNA in type of infrastructure? What were the biggest challenges and how did you address those?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
So moving away from your normal secured security network perimeter, how did you move away from that type of environment to a ZTNA, and what were the biggest challenges that you experienced and how did you deal with those?
Okay, so that is something that is in the pipeline. We are actively, we haven't done the actual implementation, but through the planning, What we have done is we looked at the current environment, we looked at the gaps that are there in terms of introducing ZTNA. For example, with your traditional network security implementation, you would trust all the internal connections. Whereas with ZTNA, you don't trust anything. You have to verify everyone that connects, whether being a person or being a device. However, with the traditional network security, meaning that everyone that connects through LAN is trusted and is given access, full access to the network. Also, your segregation is IP-based, is not role-based. Whereby, let's say we are in the IT department, we are given access to, for example, ERP, we are given access based on IP, not based on what we need to access on our ERP system. So those are the type of things that we need to look at. And also on the application level, if maybe what you do on a certain application and what I do on the certain application requires only a certain type of, for example, HTTPS connection, that's what we're going to give you. However, when we start introducing ZTNA, we will go further to say, Lerato will require access to this particular directory, and Helene will require access to this certain directory. We're not going to be given access based on IP and protocol, but we'll be given access based on our roles. So those are the things that we need to look at, we need to consider. In terms of challenges will be there, especially when it comes to organizational change, culture change. People are used to doing things how they've always been doing. So we have, for every initiative, started introducing human change management, whereby we have a change manager that assists us to spread awareness and also show people what is it that they should expect as changes going forward in terms of their day-to-day functions. So those are the approaches that we are taking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lerato. Do we have any other hands? Okay. Colleagues, any other final thoughts before we conclude? Just a minute.
I wanted to add on the question from the floor. I think one of the things, especially within our traditional practice in terms of what we do, you'll find, say, for example, you'll have your network administrator, your server administrator who will come in to say, we need to upgrade our network, which we're basically running on your Cat 6.5. We need to upgrade to Cat 6, which you'll find that currently the cost associated with a network point is quite expensive. And then you have now the latest model that is basically most of our machines that we buy, they are all wireless. And you don't necessarily have to go through the whole calculation or to say each and every office, if you have 5 or 6 people, you need to deploy a network point. You can put in a wireless controller, an AP. Same applies within the traditional server administration point of view. It's quite an administration, I think, from an ICT management point of view to say, you have to worry about the air cooling system within your data center, your fire, your environmental monitoring, the whole lot of those things. Once, if you can start strategizing, you've got your data classification policy, you start strategizing to say, I want to migrate some of this so that I can transfer some of this risk into the cloud environment so that you have less to worry about, because it's such a nightmare to have issues within your data center, be it maybe your air conditioning has failed, or your monitoring environment is not showing. AG comes to you and say 1 or 2 or 3 of these elements, which are basically compliance issues within your environment, you have unnecessary findings. So I think those are some of the things that I think we need to think outside and start deciding as to which of these can we transfer into the hyperscalers. Which of these, in terms of your upgrading our network equipment, making use of your wireless and all of those, so that we are basically improve speed, connectivity, and also minimizing all these associated risks with running the entire environment. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Our time is running out. Helen, do you want to have the last bite? 20 seconds?
Yes, just to maybe also add on to what you said with the last question is, by us, access to systems is very much role-based, which is very effective because you can only have one role on a particular system. So you cannot have access to anything that you do not need in order to perform your duties. It's the need to know principle of the MIS applies there. So that is what we are currently doing within the organization, and like CISM also prescribes role-based access, and yes, it is very effective.
Thank you so much, colleagues. I think we can all agree that our digital infrastructure underpins our economy, governance, and public confidence. Protecting it is not just a technical responsibility now, it is a national responsibility. And I think what came out from this session is the fact that awareness is key. We also need to ensure that we classify systems, and when we give our access to people that we can't even trust 100%, because sometimes awareness is a box-ticking exercise. So we need to ensure that we can monitor. There was a lady who said one day, if you can't trust your people, then control your systems, because then they will do what you want them to do. Thank you so much to our panelists, and thank you guys for sharing your experiences with us. Thank you.